Well, here we are in central Sutherland, about to fish one of my favourite little trout streams, and I'm about to tie a fly that's worked extremely well in here for me in the past. It's an old favourite called the Turks Tarantula. Not specifically aimed to represent anything that's on the water, it's just going to be a purely attractor fly that's going to drag the fish up, and often does. So the materials that I'm going to be using for this has the Partridge Dry Fly Supreme in a 10. You'll notice it's a big hook because it's a big fly. There's some calf body hair for the wing, crystal flash to give the fly a bit of sparkle, deer hair for the head, rabbit fur, in this case it's olive for the body, but essentially any colour will do. I'm using a fine thread, in this case brown, but again any colour will do you. And last but no means least, we're needing some rubber legs to give the fly some real added attraction and kick. Okay, so first of all we're going to throw some thread onto the hook here. Let's get it lashed in and then trim off the waist. One material I forgot to mention was we're using normal tippets, golden pheasant tippet for the tail. We're going to tie that in now just by selecting a decent sized bunch. Trim off what we need, fold it over, and we're going to tie it so that the second band's going to be coming just past the bend of the hook. Okay, so just catch that in there. Work our way back down towards the bend of the hook, and then back up, catch all that loose ends in, and then we're just going to work up and down a few times, just a thin thread, so it'll take quite a number of turns just to help form an even body for the most part. But this is a big bulky mobile fly, so you don't have to have too much finesse. Just take the thread back up 3/4 of the way, and we're catching some silver wire, plain silver wire, that's just going to act as a rib. And it's just to help give the fly some belt and braces. You don't really need this. This just helps keep the fly lasting a little while longer. And there you have it. Okay, tie the ribbon. Now we take some dubbing, just take a pinch. It's rabbit fur, so natural materials like this tend to jump right onto the thread. Thread's pre-waxed anyway, so I tend not to need to wax it again. One of the main reasons I don't add additional waxes on is when I form my dubbing rope, the way I'm doing just now, you've got this big gap here, and what I tend to do is just slide that right up so that it's touching right at the base of the fly. And that way you don't get any thread gaps when you start winding on. Shorten the thread so you've not got a big loop to turn, and then we'll just turn even turns, start working our way up towards the head of the fly. And that's all there is to that there. That's you formed the body. You can, if you want an additional bit of bugginess to the body, if you like, then just take a little wee spot of Velcro and we'll just lift that out. And now, just to help secure that completely, even turns with your silver wire for the rib up to, let's say, about 3/4 of the way up the hook. You have to leave enough room for the wing, etc. Just break that wire out of the way. 2 or 3 turns just to make sure it's securely tied in. And that's us ready for the next step. Next up, we're going to put in the calf body material for the wing. So it's just a case of selecting a nice bunch for that. No real measurements required. It's not an exact science. Just make sure you take out a lot of the under fluff so that it helps keep the wing secure. It's quite a mobile, soft material, as you can see, so that's going to create a nice bit of action in the water for this fly. And what we're going to try and do is line the wing up so it's going to come not beyond the tips of the tail, but maybe say like about a 45 angle from the tip of the tails to the tip of the wing. Pinch and loop, so keep that secure. 3 or 4 turns, make sure it's tied and tight, and then right in with the scissors, cut that away. Trim off any waste, keep yourself tidy. Thread over the cut ends to help secure it and also keep everything tidied up. Next step, we're going to put in the first bits of the flash in this fly, which in this case is crystal flash. We'll take 2 or 3 strands, and we're going to have this. You need it mobile, and you also need it to act as a big attractor for this particular pattern, so we're going to leave it lying a lot longer beyond the bend at the point of the tippets for the tail. And just a small bunch, maybe I would say 3 or 4 fibres. Don't want to completely overdo it. Now it's optional, you can keep it short if you want, and obviously you can use other colours. This is particular colour combination is the one I found most effective for me. Makes that securely tied in. Tidy up, and now we're straight onto the head of the fly. The head of the fly is deer here, and there's a couple of ways you can do this. You can do it like a full muddler head. However, I prefer to do it a decent bunch deer here. And I'm going to do it like a sedge type wing, so that the muddler head will sit on top of the hook as opposed to being full around the shank of the hook. So we bring this up, try and keep that 45 again. Decent bunch, you can always add in more, it's not a problem. And because I didn't really want this to flare, I'm going to hold that really tight, and then I'm just going to tie that in place, similar to what I'd be doing if I was tying a sedge or a hedgehog. And I want that deer here to sit on top to form a wing. Now we're going to come in with scissors now and trim the waist back at a 45 angle, just to start to form the head and the bulk of the head of this particular pattern. Turn your vise round. It's a messy fly, so you don't have to show too much finesse. Next step, a very important step, we're going to be using rubber legs for this fly. Now it's best if you keep these legs really long, because you're not trying to imitate anything, you're just trying to offer it a lot of action. So what I've done there is I've cut off about 2 inches, maybe 2.5 inches, folded that in half. Actually I'm saying 2.5 inches, more like 3 inches. Fold that in half and then trim it now. Okay, there's a couple of ways you can do this. You can try and put it on top so that the legs are sitting across the top of the fly, or the other way you can do it is you're going to offer it up either side, similar to a pattern called a Madam X. So you've got one leg that side, try and hit about the middle, secure, single turn, and then the other one, judge the centre, grip tight, single turn to hold it in place, and then we're going to put 2 or 3 locking turns in here just to get these legs exactly where we want them. So it's one either side, and we'll put a few belt and brace turns in there. Now we've got a lot of thread turns in there, which I don't particularly like. I don't like seeing the thread turns showing in this fly. So what I'm going to do is take a pinch of the dubbin, and this also helps build up the bulk of the head of the fly. Just a pinch of dubbin in there, and just cover those thread turns up. Now pull everything back out the way, and slide that through underneath, just to form the head, and whip finish. And I'll do this 2 or 3 times just to make sure that I've got the fly fully secure. So there's a couple of whip finishes in there. As this fly is going to be going into white water, rough water, it's going to be getting pulled hard. It's something that's going to get a bit of quite a bit of punishment, so we don't want it. We don't want it falling apart as we use it. And so a couple of whip finishes in there first, and we'll drop some varnish on the thread. And the reason we drop the varnish on the thread now is because there's a lot of material here that if you try and go in with a dubbing needle afterwards and put varnish in, you are going to catch that deer hair and catch that dubbing at the head there, and it'll draw the varnish up into it, which we don't particularly want. So you notice there I just put 2 or 4 turns in there with the varnish on the thread, and then again just drop a couple of small whip finishes in there just to finish the fly off while the varnish is still wet, and that there will last a long time. Trim off your thread, check the lengths of the legs that are all much and such the same, but long for big action, big movement, and that is essentially a very simple and effective Turks Tarantula.